Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and this is the show where we talk about the things that we love, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, all that good stuff. I'm joined in studio today by our technical director, Jonathan Boyko.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer-Burnett.
Hello, John. It's a nice day today.
It's a great day out there today. And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of really cool topics we got lined up for you guys today. And then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your comments and questions. Now, the way you send in a comment or question for us to address, as long as we deem your comment or question appropriate to be addressed on the show, if we don't read it, is that you use the super chat feature in the live chat to send it in. However, as does happen sometimes, super chat's already filled up before we even started the show. So I've turned off the super chats now, but don't worry, they'll be turned back on again on tomorrow's show. All right, guys. With all that down, let's get things started off here, shall we? And we're going to get started with this. You know, of course, we were just talking about Wonder Man, a show that I, quite frankly, couldn't have cared less about. I mean, I'm just being honest. The marketing did nothing to move the needle for me. The final trailer they put out did, I admit that, but for almost a year, it's like they gave us no reason to care about it. Nothing looked remotely interesting about it, other than the fact that you had Yahya Abdul-Mateen and Sir Ben Kingsley in it. But nothing looked remotely interesting. Final trailer kind of did, and then they announced they were dropping the whole series at once, which to me is a red flag. But then we watched it. I ended up loving it. I thought it was great. Got a little uneven near the end for me. That's fine. Overall, I really, really enjoyed the show quite a bit. But it was made clear that Wonder Man was how do they put it, a limited series. It was a special one-shot. If you wanted to use the olden terms, a mini-series, if you will. It was not long for the world of a second season or anything like that. It was a one-and-done season. Well, now, if you guys surf around the movie sphere online, you guys probably came across a couple of headlines this morning that they may indeed be looking at a Wonder Man Season 2. And I will just have to let you know, this one will have to be filed firmly under the rumor mill.
I love rumors.
This is put under the rumor mill.
It never isn't funny.
It's always great. This one has got to go under the rumor mill, but you guys have probably seen the headlines once again that Wonder Man may in fact be getting another season. As a matter of fact, even from one of the really cool outlets that I really like.
Oh, wrong share screen.
Oh yeah, I got to do that.
It's got that.
There we go.
There we go.
We got Wonder Man Season 2 from the good folks. I love this outlet. Superhero Hype. Wonder Man Season 2 update is great news for MCU Disney Plus show fans. So you guys have probably been seeing those headlines. So is Disney actually looking, is Marvel now looking at Wonder Man and thinking, let's do a Season 2? Well, I don't want to pour a bucket of cold water over your boner, but
I hate it when that happens.
I got to tell you, this is shaky at best. Because I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, Jonathan. So we've got to look at the sort. Where is this coming from? Where are all of these reports coming from that they might be doing it? It all comes from one social media post. Not from somebody from Marvel, not from somebody from Disney, not from anybody attached to the production. It's two online pundits talking to each other. And this is where it comes from. So as we go over and take a look at it, Matt Ramos on Twitter says, it sucks that Shang-Chi or Wonder Man might not get proper sequels, despite having incredible debut projects due to Destin Daniel Cretton, who of course is the director of Shang-Chi and directed Wonder Man and is the co-creator of Wonder Man. Dedicate himself to the next Spider-Man trilogy. They both deserve to have their stories continue. I just don't know that that'll happen. To which another online pundit, Brendan Davis, responded with, Wonder Man will get more. That's it. All the headlines you read this morning from the different outlets that you may or may not read, that including this one in Superhero Hype, listing this headline, Wonder Man Season 2 update is great news. It's not an update, guys. It's two online pundits talking to each other and one saying Wonder Man will get more. Now, You know me, I like to look at both sides of things. Could this be an indication that we may be getting a Wonder Man season 2? Well, on the affirmative, this wouldn't be the first time we've seen something that was supposed to be a limited series get incredible response and get turned into an ongoing series. For example, one of the greatest TV shows made in the last 20 years, Shogun, was supposed to be a limited one-shot, one-season series, but it won every award under the sun, and they were like, well, we got to make a season 2. What was the one with Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman?
Today's Show?
Lying liars lie more.
Yeah, Lying Liars Lie More. Something along those lines, where they
Big Little Lies, whatever it was called.
where they kill her husband, she kills her husband, whatever. That was supposed to be a limited series, and then we had like 3 seasons of it, right?
Yeah.
The point is, it wouldn't be the first time that an intended limited series got a much larger than expected response, and they decided to turn it into a full-blown series. So there's that. The other thing that works in its benefit is that, there are certain people in the online sphere that do have connections and whatever, and sometimes they speak things that are actually factual. This theoretically could be one of those scenarios. Absolutely it could. On the other side, though, there's been absolutely no indication from anybody at Marvel that they're looking at doing Wonder Man Season 2. Secondly, this conversation literally just looks like somebody giving their opinion.
Yeah.
When he says, oh, Wonder Man will get more, which is a valid opinion, but I don't think is a definitive statement from somebody who is not in any way connected to either Marvel or Disney, and much like myself, is just saying anything. And it looks like they're just running with it. So the 2 questions we always ask when we come to a rumor mill issue. Number 1, do we think it's real? And then number 2, if it were real, for argument's sake, how would we feel about it? In the first question, I'm going to say, I don't think this is legitimate. I honestly think this is just 2 people talking online, sharing opinions. I don't think there's anything to this at all. Although I'm not excluding the possibility that because of the popularity of Wonder Man, that they may not want to reconsider it. But for right now, I don't buy it. Now, on to the second question. Assuming for a second that it was true, how would I feel about it? Oh, damn, I would love it. I'm not going to hide that. I would love it. I would watch literally 6 more episodes of just Trevor and Simon sitting in diners talking about classic old movies. I would seriously just watch that. Wonder Man didn't have a single superhero fight in it, and it was one of Marvel's best Disney Plus series.
Yep.
I would absolutely be down for it.
And then what you do is you build it up to their own Avengers, which is Wong, Madison, and then Trevor Slattery again.
Got to get Madison in there, then bring Luis back and all that kind of stuff. So I would love it if this turned out to be true, but I do not buy that it is true. Rob, as always, I put the same 2 questions to you. Number 1, do you think this is legit? Number 2, assume for a moment that it is legit. How would you feel about it?
No, I don't think it's legit. I think it's 2 people talking. However, that post did make me want to see the Wonder Man Shang-Chi movie.
Oh, very much. I would love that.
Because they would both, they're both West Coasters. They
Yeah.
the 2 of those guys, and with Awkwafina and Slattery, that comedy gold. That whole movie could be great. Both of those characters could really exist in that world. Awesome. But no, I think the funny thing about the Wonder Man show is they've decided to make a movie or a TV series that's set in the MCU that isn't focused on the MCU. So it's, there's metahumans in the world, but it's really about people. There's no superheroics. It's like a day in the life of these guys. And one of them I can't believe, Trevor Slattery came from Iron Man 3. So I think that, and people aren't talking about the show. The problem is, I don't think it's capturing the traditional Marvel audience. I think people are going to come to it over time when they realize how good it actually is. Because what's so great about it is you don't expect anything from it. And by the end of the first episode, you're like, this is great. So it wouldn't surprise me if we get another season, because it can't be that expensive to make. There's not any apocalyptic battles. No one's turning into the Hulk, so there's not a lot of CG involved, and they can shoot it at actual locations. That was another fun thing about the show, is that you're on the streets of LA. Like, I've been there.
Yep.
I've been there.
Actually, I love the Pacoima episode, because I've spent a lot of time in the Valley growing up here, and what Superior Tile? That's the guy holding the sign. Because we're remodeling that back house, Laura and I have been in there like 6 or 7 times. I was like, "Oh my god, it's Superior Tile!"
I literally was just there. But to your point, Rob, the other thing about, I think part of the reason you don't hear a lot of people talking about it is because of the fact that they dropped the whole show at once. I mean, we've talked about this for years. I remember, like, you looked at WandaVision, right? Dropped one episode every week, and that's all anybody talked about for 2 months straight. Punisher, the Netflix version of it, which was great, and everybody talked about it leading up to it. 5 days after Punisher dropped on Netflix, nobody was talking about it anymore. Like, literally nobody was, because it was done. And I think part of the reason that this show isn't having a sustained buzz is because it's done. It's over. They literally dropped it, and it was done, and now there's nothing left to talk about, which is really too bad. I would have liked to have seen more, and damn it, we got to find out what happened to Josh Gad. I mean, we got to know what happened. That's the whole basis of season 2, the hunt for Josh Gad. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The headlines are going around that, they might be doing Wonder Man season 2, but it's literally coming from just a casual conversation online between a couple of pundits. Neither of them definitively saying, I have found out that this is happening. So I don't think this is legit. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? It happens a lot, and I just avoid 80% of them. But I often there'll be some wild rumor online, like totally not even remotely real looking. And yet a whole bunch of people will clamp onto it. So like last week, I remember, Rob, I had a bunch of people, tons of people emailing me, John, talk about the news that Disney has fired Mark Ruffalo. John, talk about this report. The report said, did you hear that Mark Ruffalo's been fired? And it's like, we never even brought it up on the show because it was so ludicrous and based on absolutely nothing. Well, now we can talk about it, not just because Mark Ruffalo has made it a little bit more concrete, but in making it more concrete, he's maybe might have let something else slip. We go over to the folks, again, over at Superhero Hype, who write this. Rumors began circulating online last week that Mark Ruffalo, who has often been outspoken about his politics and his criticism of the Trump administration, had been fired by Disney. This, however, is untrue, as Ruffalo was asked about the matter when speaking to the news movement for Crime 101, a movie I cannot wait to watch, by the way. Not that I know of, Ruffalo said with a laugh when asked if the rumor is true. People keep going like, did you get fired? I'm like, not that I know of. Yeah, I'll be there as long as they'll have me, but I have a good relationship with them. Who knows? There might be things I'm already doing. I'm around. Let me just say that. And then Chris Hemsworth chided in, it's nonsense. That's a nonsense thing. So there you go. Ruffalo, Chris Hemsworth shooting that down. So that's the one part of this. This whole thing, and again, the ridiculousness of it is when people started firing in, I ask them, what's the source of this? Who's claiming this? Oh, I just saw it on Twitter. Well,
no, it must be true.
Then that must be worth writing in and asking about. So anyway, so Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo set that to ease. That's fine. What is more interesting to me was what he said to kind of emphasize the point. When we go back to the quote, he says, who knows? There might be things I'm already doing. Just let me say that.
Yeah, I'm around. Just let me say that.
I'm around. Let me just say that. All right. He's not talking about Spider-Man, Brand New Day. He's not talking about that.
By the way, I don't think they would fire the man before they did the press tour for Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, because that's wrapped. He's wrapped.
Yeah.
You don't say there's things I'm already doing for something that is past.
Right.
There's things I've already done. So when he comes out and says, who knows? Because you don't say who knows, because everybody knows he's in Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? There might be things I'm already doing. There's only one thing that is in active development and getting, like, literally the pre-production's all set and they're getting ready to shoot. And that's Avengers Secret Wars. Now, does this definitively mean confirmed Mark Ruffalo is in Avengers Secret Wars?
Yes.
While we all suspect as much, that does not mean this is confirmed. But I think Mark Ruffalo, again, this is all a matter of interpretation. Okay. This is just me as a fan interpreting what I'm reading. You may interpret it differently, and that's totally fine. But to me, this reads an awful lot like Mark Ruffalo just basically said, listen, guys, I'm in Avengers Secret Wars. So I think it's pretty firm that I'm not fired. Anyway, Rob, you read this comment from Mark Ruffalo. You and I have always suspected that we'd probably see Hulk in Secret Wars. I mean, that we've guessed that. We don't know, but we've guessed that. But I don't know. What do you think of his comments and this whole situation?
Well, it's odd to me that, he's been around in the MCU since, 2012 when he was in Avengers, the first Avengers. Like, I don't understand why people would think he is going anywhere, although there is something I'll bring up later, that maybe people got whiff of something else, and that's where they tied the two things together. But it's such a silly thing. I don't, and if they didn't bring the Hulk back ever, that doesn't mean he got fired. That just means they're not bringing him back. I mean, I can understand that if they don't, he's overpowered. It's hard to figure out how to get Hulk to, what have they done? They made him Professor Hulk. They depowered him, and I get it, but why would they fire him? What's he done? He hasn't done anything wrong.
What do you think about his comments regarding the thing? I think there's things I'm already doing.
I think that my grandmother, if she were still alive, would wind up in Secret Wars because everyone is going to be in Secret Wars. So it wouldn't surprise me to know that, Hulk's in. You mean the Hulk is in an Avengers movie? Say it ain't so, John. No, of course he's going to be in Secret Wars. I from what I understand, I don't think he's in Doomsday because he's in Spider-Man Brand New Day. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm really curious, by the way, to see how, because Brand New Day was supposed to come out in between.
Doomsday was meant to come out prior
Doomsday
to Spider-Man Brand New Day.
So I'm really curious to see, like, how I would have questions. Like, what does that timeline look like? I'm excited to know. Like, is there going to be a post-credit scene the way there was in Fantastic Four and the way there was in Thunderbolts at the end of Brand New Day? That's going to dovetail. I guess it would dovetail into Doomsday. I mean, or maybe I don't know. I'm curious. I'm excited.
One of the things I often talk about, and I'm seeing a bunch of people in the live chat talking about, the one thing kind of disappointing with the MCU is how they've handled Hulk. And I've said that a lot, like with all the amazing things the Russo brothers have done in the MCU, talking Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. Out of the list of 100 things they've done great, there is a very small list of the things that they've, I think, dropped the ball on, and one of them is certainly Hulk. It's weird because it's one of the things I go back to, man, I know there's some bad blood right now, but I kind of wish they would go and get Joss Whedon in for a day, because if there's anybody who got Hulk right in both of his Avengers movies, right? Like, We Have a Hulk is in the first one, and in the second one, like Ultimate Monster, and only the beauty can bring him down. Hey, big guy, the sun's getting real low. Like, he is the ultimate nuclear option. And I kind of wish they would just bring in Joss Whedon for a day. Like they used to fly Joss Whedon into other MCU movies just to write up some pages.
Yeah.
I wish they would just bring him in for like 3 or 4 days, write up a subplot here for Hulk, and let's make Hulk again. I mean, that would be kind of cool. But at any rate, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Both Chris Hemsworth and Mark Ruffalo squashing that ridiculous nonsense rumor about them firing Mark Ruffalo. But more interesting to me, it kind of seems to me Ruffalo let slip that he may actually be in Secret Wars, which wouldn't surprise us. How did you interpret it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this. In the brief history of Disney Plus, particularly Marvel and Star Wars's presence on Disney Plus, both have had what could be generously called a mixed bag. Some really good things, some really horrible things. And when we're talking on the Star Wars side, you can't mention the horrible things without bringing up The Acolyte, a show that had so much promise that I was so excited about for so long and was so utterly terrible. Not to say that they didn't have their moments. They did. The hand-to-hand combat looked really good. I will give it credit where credit's due. But overall, it was kind of a waste of a show. But you guys remember, in the final episode, there's a creeper in the caves looking out at a couple of characters doing a very bad job at hiding himself as a creature that we can only assume was the infamous Darth Plagueis.
The Wise.
Darth Plagueis the Wise, who couldn't save himself. Looking out onto the stone pyres. And of course, with The Acolyte deservedly getting canceled, we never had the opportunity to find out confirmation if that was indeed Darth Plagueis, although we all kind of figured it was. Or was that just meant to be a little bit spot or something bigger? Well, according to an official book put out by Star Wars, not only was that Darth Plagueis, but the idea was that during this High Republic era stories on Disney Plus, starting with The Acolyte, Darth Plagueis was meant to be set up as the ultimate big bad guy behind everything. This comes to us from the folks over at The Direct, who wrote, as a part of the new Art of Star Wars, The Acolyte art book via the Holofiles, The Acolyte series creator Leslie Headland pulled the curtain back on some key details about the now canceled Star Wars series, including her plans for Darth Plagueis in the streaming show. I had always wanted to end the season to introduce Plagueis, she divulged, adding that the character's introduction was meant to tee him up as a larger threat for future seasons. Her direct quote is this: I had always wanted to end the season to introduce Plagueis. Having him come in the middle felt like it was going to be too loaded, so we decided to establish the era, the main characters, and the storyline, and then put Plagueis in as the larger threat. Okay. Skipping past the whole thing about the fact, yeah, well, that's never going to happen now. They kind of killed the Acolyte, and it seems like the whole High Republic era story stuff they were going to do has been kind of wiped out with it. Would this have been a good idea? And I'm surprisingly going to say yes. This would have been a good idea had it been executed right. I mean, listen, from what we understand from canon and Darth Plagueis and how he set up Palpatine and all that kind of stuff, it would make sense that at this era, he's the one behind the scenes. He's the one lurking in the shadows. He's the one of the rule of two. He's the one who's there. And I think that could have been interesting. Now, some of you might be saying, John, I thought you would, rather see Star Wars cover characters we haven't seen before. Well, we never had that Darth Plagueis on the screen. Like, not in a movie or a live action TV series. This would have been totally brand new territory for 90% of the people who watch Star Wars who know nothing about Darth Plagueis other than the fact that he was mentioned in the prequels. So, look, does that mean they should have continued The Acolyte just to do this? No, The Acolyte was terrible and it got the fate that it deserved. But give credit where it's due. I think this would have been an interesting thing to see unfold with him being the ultimate threat. Anyway, Rob, you hear this story that little tee up at the end was meant to jump into something larger. What do you think about it?
I would love to have seen that. I mean, I think it'd be a great idea. It's just that, but even the way he shows up in a cave at the end of that series, it was a little lackluster, and I think one of the things about this is I think so many of our franchises are being sort of, people are picking things willy-nilly from the lore without really thinking them through. If you're going to introduce Plagueis, wasn't there a book? Wasn't there a Plagueis novel?
Yes, there was.
Yeah, there's a Plagueis novel.
With a great cover, this huge Plagueis head with, you see Palpatine kneeling to. It's a really good cover.
I mean, you really need to weave that story throughout and make sure that you've really thought it through. I think that's really important. And I think it would have been great. But then again, would Darth Plagueis have made sense if the Acolyte went on forward? I don't know, because it seemed a little small to have Darth Plagueis in that story. I would like to have seen a much bigger, a grander, I mean, he'd be like Sauron of the day, commanding like a faction of something, but maybe it would have worked. I just love the idea that they could have used him, because when you hear that story in Revenge of the Sith, it's just cool. Like, I want to know who that dude is.
You know, it's funny when you go into the Plagueis book and into some of his lore, he very quietly from the background and hiding in plain sight, much like Palpatine did, you really realize that all the events of the prequels were actually orchestrated and designed by many ways by Plagueis.
Yeah.
So like he's moving these pieces on the board around subtly. How much they would have stuck to that, I don't know, but we're never going to find out. Guys, the question is for you. Acolyte was terrible, but would you have stomached a season 2 or 3 knowing that they would have gone more into Darth Plagueis? I don't know that I would, but I do like the idea of Plagueis. Anyway, whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we got a number of other things to talk about, but we thought, since we haven't done it in a number of days, we'd play ourselves a little round of Overreaction. This is the little game where we ask you guys to submit your hot takes, and then we would adjudicate your hot takes on whether we think your hot take is an overreaction or not. Jonathan's got a bunch of your submissions picked out. So, Jonathan, what we got?
All right, Rob, starting with you. Julian says Devil Wears Prada 2 will make more than The Mandalorian and Grogu at the box office.
I don't think that is an overreaction. I think that could very well be the case. Obviously, if The Mandalorian and Grogu turns out to be a phenomenal film, it probably would outgross Devil Wears Prada 2. But I think Devil Wears Prada 2, we keep saying, John, don't count that movie out.
People are sleeping on it.
I think, you know, if they still have the Hollywood Stock Exchange? Did you ever play that like 20 years ago?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if I would bet on Devil Wears Prada 2.
Yeah, buy stock in Devil Wears Prada 2. Look, it almost seems sacrilege to say Devil Wears Prada 2 could beat a Star Wars movie. But here's the reality. I think the ceiling, the potential for Mandalorian and Grogu is around the $500 million mark. Maybe 6. And the Devil Wears Prada 2, I've been telling you guys, you're sleeping on this movie. I think 500 or 600 million is the floor. I honestly think that's the starting point. I think in its worst case scenario, Devil Wears Prada makes 500 or 600 million. I really see it probably making 7 to 8. So it feels weird to say, but I agree with you, Rob. It is not an overreaction to say Devil Wears Prada 2 is going to make more than Mandalorian and Grogu. I'll go so far as to say, Rob, I'll be surprised, pleasantly surprised, but I'll be surprised if Mandalorian and Grogu made more than Devil Wears Prada. So yeah, I'm going to agree with Rob. This is not an overreaction.
All right, over to you, John. We hear from J-Word, Spider-Man Brand New Day will suffer at the box office due to the current marketing on Avengers Doomsday.
That's a massive overreaction. And the reason it's an overreaction is this. I understand the spirit of your question in that so much of the marketing right now is being focused on Avengers Doomsday that maybe Spider-Man is getting overlooked. But there are 2 big things you're overlooking. Number 1, Spider-Man is still almost 6 months away. So they've got plenty of time to hype up and build up that movie. But the second thing you're missing is this. Promoting the MCU is promoting the MCU. And building excitement for Doomsday will, by osmosis, if you will, build anticipation for Spider-Man Brand New Day. And so therefore, I'm going to say, saying that all the hype for Doomsday is going to hurt Spider-Man Brand New Day, I'm going to call that a big overreaction. Rob, what about you?
I think so too. I mean, it's just going to feed off itself. And look, you know, you're coming off of, if you come off of Spider-Man No Way Home, that's almost a $2 billion movie. People are, and the Avengers movies have never lost. So it's like you've got 2 films where the hype is just going to increase. It's just going to perpetuate itself because these are 2 movies that people, especially the regular movie-going audience, really want to see.
All right. What's next?
All right, over to you, Rob. We hear from Avatar enthusiast Ben Kingsley's performance in Wonder Man is one of the best acting performances in the MCU.
I do not think that is an overreaction. I think he's always been. I loved him in Iron Man 3. it's the people just didn't like the conception of the character.
Right.
And then but he's a great actor. But what I really loved about Wonder Man is we really got to know him. And his performance was so colored. There were so many nuances to it. I loved it. And I think that everybody else who watches Wonder Man kind of feels the same way. How do you not watch that show and not enjoy those two characters? Like you said, you'd watch them review movies. The new Siskel and Ebert.
I'll go one step further. Not only will I say it is not an overreaction to say it's one of the best performances we've had in the MCU, I'll say it's the best performance we've had in the MCU. Now, here's the problem. The problem is with a lot of movie and TV fans is we equate how good the product overall is with, like, if you like another movie better, then you say, no, the performance is in that movie. No, but I'm just talking about the performance. Him as Trevor is great. But when just watch the performance. When he's Trevor, and then in those moments of reflection and self-doubt, and then in those moments as Trevor breaking into Shakespeare and all that kind of stuff, I'll say there has not been in the MCU a performance as good as the one he gave. I'm not saying Wonder Man is the best thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I'll say I actually think there's an argument to be made that his performance as Trevor in Wonder Man might be the best performance, pure performance, that we've had out of anybody in the MCU. And I think that's saying a lot.
That we didn't really talk about it, but that scene where they're hanging out in Wonder Man's apartment, and he starts going over Grapes of Wrath, right?
Oh my God.
And then Trevor starts going over Amadeus. And I was like, I actually rewound that and rewatched. I'm like, he really becomes F. Murray
Salieri.
Yeah, F. Murray Abraham.
And I'm sure what's funny about that is I'm sure they've been mistaken as each other in real life, like Ben Kingsley and F. Murray Abraham.
All right, what's next?
I think we're over to you, Rob. Let me see.
No, I think it's over to me
it's back to you, John. Dust Wayne says the final season of The Boys will be better than the final season of Stranger Things.
Not an overreaction. Listen, I liked the final season of Stranger Things. I thought the finale was a little uneven. There are things I really liked about it, things I questioned, but overall, I thought the season was really, really quite good. Not my favorite season of Stranger Things, but I thought it was a solid finale. I thought it was a good final season. The Boys, though, has never missed. I just keep waiting for The Boys to lose its potency, for The Boys to lose its edge, for The Boys to lose a step, and it never does. And I have absolutely no reason to believe they're going to do that as they wrap up, this part of that universe in their stories as the series comes to an end. I have no reason to doubt they're going to do that. So I'm going to say it is not an overreaction. As much as I did like the finale for Stranger Things, I don't think it's an overreaction to say the final season of The Boys will be better than the final season of Stranger Things. Rob, what about you?
I totally agree. I mean, the Boys, like you said, The Boys, that show never fails to make my jaw hit the floor. Yeah. And I expect it to hit the floor quite a few times during this final season. I don't know what they've got in store. I just know I can't wait to see it. Whereas Stranger Things, I was like, it's fine.
All right. What's next?
Over to you, Rob. Is this an overreaction when we hear from Jesus with Popcorn? Michael will be the highest grossing biopic in history.
I don't think that's an overreaction. And he said biopic, meaning everything, not just musical. Because I think, again, you're talking about a worldwide, everyone knows Michael Jackson, the world over. I mean, maybe not younger people like Gen Z or Gen Alpha but everyone else does. And I think the movie's just going to be monstrously huge everywhere in the world.
Yeah, so, I got to say, I think, and you guys in the live chat, correct me if I'm wrong on this because I didn't look this up, but I think Bohemian Rhapsody is the highest grossing biopic, musical or otherwise, of all time. I think it is at $900 and some odd million. I don't think any other biopic has cracked $1 billion. Michael will. I have no doubt about that. Absolutely.
If
Michael
it's
will.
Great.
Yeah. If it's, you know what? But I'm even starting to think that even if it's just pretty good, I still think it's going to make $1 billion. Now, if it totally sucks, which I have no reason to believe Antoine Fuqua will deliver something that totally sucks. He hasn't done that yet. But I mean, even if this movie's just pretty good, I see it breaking the $1 billion, which doing that makes it the highest grossing biopic. So yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Rob. It is not an overreaction to say that Michael will be the highest grossing biopic, musical or otherwise, of all time. All right. What's next?
Over to you, John. I believe this is our final one. We're going to hear from Just Gnome, who says Matt Damon will win his first acting Oscar for The Odyssey.
I'm going to say that's an overreaction. And I'm going to say it's an overreaction for a couple of reasons. One is, well, I mean, he's going to have to go against Timothée Chalamet and do 3. And I think Timothée Chalamet is going to have some momentum because I think he's probably going to win Best Actor this year. I mean, it still could go to Leo DiCaprio. It still could go to Michael B. Jordan, but I think it's going to be Timothée Chalamet. And we could be looking at the first back-to-back Best Acting Performance Oscar going to the same guy since Tom Hanks with Philadelphia and Forrest Gump.
Could be.
I think that's the last time somebody won Best Actor back-to-back. And it could be Timothée Chalamet. So that's number one. Number two is, listen, make no mistake. I love Matt Damon, and I think he is an exceptional actor. Just loved him in The Rip. I like him every time he pops up. Do I think he is a Best Actor Academy Award winner? As somebody who loves Matt Damon, I've not seen anything out of Matt Damon yet that has told me he's somebody who could win Best Lead Actor at the Academy Awards. I've not seen that yet. Now, he's going to be in the hands of Christopher Nolan. That definitely carries some weight to it. But for now, I'm just going to have to say I think it's an overreaction thinking he's going to win Best Actor. Rob, what about you?
I do think that's an overreaction. Also, I don't know if the part is showy enough that he would even be nominated for Best Actor. Not to, like you, I love Matt Damon. I can't get enough. Like The Talented Mr. Ripley, I could watch that movie forever. His performance in that film is incredible. He's great in everything he's in. I love him in Contagion. You know, he's got that cheating wife that gets
The Martian.
He's so
great.
good in
He's
the Martian.
so good.
He's so good in The Martian. He's so good. He's great. He's one of the great. I think one of the great. You can put him in anything. He can play anything.
Comedic, serious, dramatic, period piece, sci-fi. You can drop him in anything.
He's great. I mean, I even love him when he's like the mean anti-Semitic kid in School Ties. You know, he's great. He's always great. And he's been acting for like 30 years now.
Yeah.
Incredible. But I don't think he's going to win or even be nominated for playing Odysseus.
I'm not, okay, so the question wasn't whether or not he could get nominated.
Right, but if he
Being
can win,
in the Odyssey and being theoretically the lead guy in that movie with Christopher Nolan, hey, Christopher Nolan's last movie, his actor won Best Actor at the Academy Awards.
sure.
I could see Matt getting nominated. I just can't see him winning.
Yeah.
That's all.
I'm just speaking because of the part. I don't know if the part
Right.
of Odysseus gives him enough room to stretch his abilities. But I think it's an overreaction.
All right, guys, that wraps up this session of Overreaction. Thank you to everybody for sending in your hot takes. Keep your eyes open on the YouTube channel for when we put out the next round of calls for hot takes, and maybe you'll see yours appear on the next set of Overreaction. All right, guys, listen. We still have a number of other topics that we are going to go in depth into, including this Super Bowl will have the first ever all AI generated Super Bowl ad. We're going to talk about that. Also, Disney has now picked their new CEO who will take over for Bob Iger as he retires next month. And you might have seen it. It's all over a ton of outlets right now that apparently there's a report going around that when that Fantastic Four ship shows up that we saw first occur in the post-credit scene of Thunderbolts, there are 2 other characters on that ship other than the Fantastic Four. We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, there's a whole bunch of other news going on in the world of movies and television that we don't have time to go into, but we want to make sure we at least catch you up on what's going on. And we do that in our little segment we call In Other News. First up, Hollywood heavyweights Ethan Hawke and Orlando Bloom are heading deep into the Amazon for the upcoming jungle thriller, The Last of the Tribe. Based on the gripping true story by journalist Monty Reel, the film follows William Flant, played by Ethan Hawke, a burnt-out Chicago cop turned corporate mercenary. Sent to the rainforest to investigate a mysterious death, Flant's mission takes a sharp turn when he discovers the last surviving member of a lost indigenous tribe. Now, this isn't just a normal action flick, it's a high-stakes moral drama about the destruction of the rainforest and the people who call it home. It's being directed by Claudio Borelli and produced by the team behind Silence of the Lambs. The Last of the Tribe promises to be a pulse-pounding ride that pits corporate greed against a man's last chance at redemption. Next up, Nancy Meyers is officially back. After an 11-year break from the director's chair, the queen of the sophisticated romantic comedy has found a new home at Warner Brothers for her latest untitled feature. The project is making waves with a massive ensemble cast, including Oscar winner Penelope Cruz, Succession star Kieran Culkin, and returning collaborator Jude Law alongside with Owen Wilson and Emma McKay. The project was originally set up at Netflix, but was famously canceled in 2023 after a standoff over a reported $150 million budget. Gosh, I wonder why they canceled the deal. While the specific plot is still being kept a secret, sources say it's a semi-autobiographical look at the magic and mystery of movie making. And Warner Brothers has already locked in a prime theatrical release date for Christmas Day of 2027. Next up, Apple TV Plus is adding even more star power to one of its most anticipated new projects. John Cho has officially joined the cast of the upcoming limited series, The Off Weeks, alongside heavyweights Ben Stiller and Jessica Chastain. Cho, known for his versatile work in films like Searching and the recent Murderbot, joins a supporting cast that already includes Richard Gere and Annalee Ashford. The 8-episode drama follows a writing professor named Gus, played by Ben Stiller, as he navigates the high-stakes emotional seesaw of post-divorce life. The story is said to split between his on weeks spent raising his kids and his off weeks, where he enters a whirlwind, high-risk affair with a mysterious woman played by Jessica Chastain, and production is already underway. Next up, the Super Bowl is the most watched American broadcast each year, so obviously there is some drama that goes along with it. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is doubling down on his support for Grammy winner Bad Bunny, just days before the superstar is set to make history with the Super Bowl's first ever all-Spanish halftime show. Goodell dismissed concerns that the performance would turn into a political demonstration. He told reporters that while Bad Bunny is a vocal advocate for human rights, the league believes he understands that the Super Bowl is a stage uniquely designed to bring people together through music and creativity. Now, the controversy comes as conservative critics and the Trump administration voice their frustration over the halftime pick, with some even organizing an alternative quote-unquote all-American viewing event, which is an idiotic idea since they don't seem to understand that Bad Bunny himself is a fully American-born U.S. citizen. Anyway, despite these political noisemakers, the NFL is moving forward with full confidence, banking on the global streaming titan to deliver on a performance that prioritizes unity over division on football's biggest night. And finally, K-pop icons BTS have officially announced their massive return to the global stage in partnership with Netflix. On March 21st, the group will host a historic live-streamed concert titled BTS The Comeback Live Arirang, broadcast directly to fans in over 190 countries. The event celebrates the release of their brand new studio album. Arirang drops just one day prior. It's a milestone moment marking the first time all 7 members will perform together since completing their mandatory military service. But the celebration doesn't stop there. On March 27th, Netflix will then premiere BTS The Return, an intimate documentary that gives fans behind-the-scenes look at the group's reunion in Los Angeles and the making of their new music. And that'll do it for In Other News. All right, guys, with that all down, let's move on to this, shall we? Sticking on the theme of the Super Bowl, of course, one of the big things that a lot of people tune into the Super, even people who are not sports fans, they tune in for the commercials. The Super Bowl commercials are always the best commercials of the year. As movie fans, we also tune in to see what the trailers are going to be, but just overall the commercials. It is the most watched annual broadcast in the world, the Super Bowl, by a fair margin. And this year, according to the Hollywood Reporter, the first mainly AI-generated Super Bowl ad is going to play at the Super Bowl. And it's going to be for, forgive me if I mispronounce this, I don't drink alcohol, so I don't know how to pronounce a lot of these things. The Svedka spot
You nailed it.
features LLM robots and synthetic people. Get ready for the Slopper Bowl. Ha ha! See what they did there?
Nice.
Holly Report goes on to say this. The Fembot has been prompted. Svedka's famous robot character, gone from pop culture for nearly 13 years, has returned to the brand's ad campaign recently and will now appear in a Super Bowl commercial. The catch? Pretty much the whole spot has been created with AI. The 30-second commercial features Fembot and her new companion, Brobot.
They're not creepy at all, by the way.
No, not at all. Not in the least. As they dance in front of a group of human partiers while discovering Svedka products within their casing. In a video that was almost entirely prompted by AI instead of conventionally shot. The pair's TikTok-y dance was selected from among a slew of user submissions as a part of a contest. It was won by a 23-year-old Nashville native named Jessica Rizzardi, which puts the commercial at the nexus of more than just one tech platform trend. All right. This is the day everybody's been kind of worried about. Particularly people in the thing. Somebody's saying John hasn't heard of the World Cup. Moron. The World Cup only happens once every 4 years. It is not an annual thing, as I specified. Anyway, this is the thing that a lot of people have kind of been dreading. Now, this wouldn't be the first AI-generated commercial. Like, we've got that really awful Coca-Cola Christmas commercial that looked terrible and just looked like slop and just looked totally bad. And there's other ones where animals are driving cars that, again, look bad. Again, sometimes it's good when you use elements of AI in something that can work okay, but this looks really bad. I do want to point something out here. I have to do this as let me see if I can find it here. Why can't I find it? I've got it here somewhere. Believe me, I do. But there is something so wrong. Oh yeah, here we are. Let's bring this up here.
You noticed it too?
Oh my God. There's two things really weird. First of all, let's watch this part here. Now I want you to pay attention to that when this scene cuts. I want you to pay attention to the guy on the couch.
Oh, I caught it.
What the hell is he doing with his legs? You can tell this is AJ. Watch this. Here we go. And play.
But you know what it is, right?
Okay, again, what's he doing with his legs?
Okay, it's a Rick James song.
Yes.
That's Rick James. This is a Chappelle Show reference.
Oh.
F your couch! And he's putting mud on the couch.
Mud on the couch. Because that's a very good pickup. I knew it was Rick James. I totally forgot about the Chappelle thing.
I did the same thing until I went back and I was like, well, it is a Rick James song. And then I looked and I'm like, oh my gosh, it is a Chappelle Show reference.
Because bring it back up here. I was wondering why.
It's like AI went nuts.
Well, no. What it really looks like is like his shoes are shitting. Look. It looks like his shoes are spewing.
If you drink too much, you can lose your faculties.
He's spewing diarrhea all over the thing. That's a good catch, but still, man, that looked...
Now, the real question is, was that prompted by a human to put
and this guy looks like he got his throat. I get he's spilling it, but it looks like his throat was slit because it's red fluid coming out of his throat.
Which is all good and everything. Again, so anyway, that great catch on the Rick James reference. I knew it was Rick. I totally forgot about the Chappelle reference. That actually makes it clever, although it looked really weird.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if AI just put that reference in there and no one prompted it?
And they didn't even realize it?
And they didn't know?
Well, that would be something. Now, look, I go back.
This?
Let's bring this up again. Yeah, that just looks creepy as hell. If we look at the people, like the humans totally look all AI generated.
They look like NPCs from a game.
Yes, that's exactly what they look like. They look like NPCs like from
Sims.
the latest Witcher game. Is the commercial itself terrible?
Yes.
It's not. I mean, I don't think the commercial is terrible in of itself. Dancing robots drinking vodka. Okay, it's the Super Bowl. They do things, but again, this is going to have a lot of people talking. And by the way, the president of the company kind of acknowledged that we understand doing it with AI is going to get a lot of people talking, but we want people talking because here we are on the John Campea Show talking about Svedka, which I think is a first. I don't think we've ever mentioned Svedka on our show before.
No.
So there you go. It works. So I got to tell you what, I do feel conflicted about it. I mean, look, on the one hand, you and I as individuals if a new piece of technology comes around that lets us do something faster, easier, and cheaper, we do it in a heartbeat. We do it in a heartbeat. That's what we do. So should not other people be allowed to do the same thing? If a studio finds a way to accomplish something cheaper, faster, easier, you and I take advantage of it. Should they not be able to take advantage of it? I'm not answering the question for you. I'm asking the question. And so I feel a little bit conflicted by that. At the same time, it still just looks wrong.
Yeah, I mean, but it'll get better.
But right now it looks wrong.
I think it's purposefully looking creepy. Like, I think they did that on purpose.
I don't know if it's purposely, because I've seen people try not to make it look creepy, and it just always looks off.
Well,
but I don't know, Rob, you had a chance to see, what do you think about this? And what do you think about the fact that we're getting our first fully AI generated Super Bowl commercial?
Well, I've been playing around with AI. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, last night I wanted to make a thumbnail for my YouTube show, and I couldn't find. Normally, I just find an image online and use that and put my text over it. But it was something specific about kids having no attention span. It was an Atlantic article, and I couldn't find a picture. So I went to AI, and I generate. It's the very first time in my thumbnail that I used an all AI generated picture that I prompted. I had this idea. I said I wanted it in the style of 3 different artists, and I made this picture. And it was cool. And it never existed until I prompted it into existence. Now, I'm not an artist, so I had this picture. So the question is, it didn't exist. And I needed something that was specific to what I was talking about. And it kind of gave me this, based on my ideas, it gave me this weird thing. Now, I was never going to pay an artist to do it. I wasn't going to call a friend up and go, hey, man, I need this. I didn't even know what it would look like. So I got it. Now, the question was, I thought it was legit. I'm like, this is the first time I've done it. I'm going to do it some more. And this some human being had to come up with this concept. Somebody did. Like, it'll be in a club. Somebody probably came up with the idea of doing the Chappelle reference. So somebody at some ad agency probably did get paid for this ad. They just used AI to generate. They had to figure out. Somebody probably storyboarded this whole commercial out. They needed to know what shots they wanted to do. They knew they had certain gags they wanted to do. And so some human being is responsible for this ad. Now, did the animator get paid to do it? No. Did some CG artist get paid to do it? No. So clearly, this ad was made without people that would normally have been paid to work on it. They didn't get paid. So somebody lost their job. The thing is, though, that's where we're at. And if you're not jumping onto this bandwagon, where are you going to be? And so I don't know, ethically, morally. I mean, I'm sure that people were really pissed that transcribed books when the Gutenberg press came along, and you could suddenly print out Bibles.
Didn't have to transcribe.
I mean, instead of transcribing anymore. So it's a tough one. But I do think that human beings are going to always be driving this material in some way, shape, or form until we're not.
It brings up the question about how we have utilized technology as individuals, as people, to replace hiring other people to do it for us in many different ways. I'll just give you an example. Something I had to do this morning. I had to do some banking this morning, and I did what all of us do now. I jumped on my phone, and I did everything I did. And I remembered, when I was younger, when I was a teenager, I remember having to go into my bank to a teller. And in my bank, there would be like 8 different tellers up, all with lines of people. But the technology is now advanced that it makes it a lot easier for us to do our banking. And you know what? There's probably now 10% of the number of employed bank tellers that we used to have a number of years ago. I know that's an extreme example, but the principle is there, is that we have often in our society used new technology to replace us having to pay somebody else to do something for us. I'm not saying that's a direct apples to apples with this new scenario. Again, I myself still feel very conflicted about it. I do.
Yeah.
I understand the principle. Some things I don't. It's just really weird. And I saw somebody in the live chat just say, well, hey, man, it's only a commercial. It's not like they're doing it with movies.
Oh,
If you don't think commercials is step one,
Yeah.
where do you think this is going? And so,
10 years from now, the director of this is probably going to be directing some indie film or whatever.
or an
That's-
AI episode.
no,
Yeah.
we will have the first theatrically released all AI generated movie in the next 18 months.
Isn't Steven Soderbergh kind of like really researching that and going into the
Darren
trying to-
Aronofsky's new animated series about the birth of America is all AI generated.
Maybe it was Darren Aronofsky I was
Yeah.
thinking of. Yeah. So I don't know, guys. I just think I'm not here to tell you what to think because I'm not sure what I think. I just think it's a very interesting move forward here. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Bob Iger retired, but they picked the wrong guy to replace him with Bob Chapek, who immediately diverted in philosophy and everything and pretty much almost destroyed Disney to the point that they had to fire his ass real quick and Bob Iger had to step back in to re-steady the ship. We've known for a while now that he was going to step down by the end of 2026 again and they needed to find a new person. Well, after all the speculation, after all the candidates, it is now done. Disney does not yet have a new CEO, but they have selected their next CEO. And that CEO, according to Deadline, is Josh D'Amaro?
Tomorrow?
D'Amaro, CEO, and Dana
Tomato,
Walden,
tomato.
who was also in the running for the CEO job, gets the runner-up prize as she is now the new president of Disney and the chief creative officer. Now, she had been kind of the co-executive running the entertainment brands with Alan Bergman, and now Alan Bergman's going to be reporting to her.
Their looks, Maxon. Check that out.
Yep, there's the new power
Mogging.
over at Disney. That's it. The folks at Deadline wrote the following. Disney Experiences chairman Josh D'Amaro has been elevated to CEO of the Walt Disney Company, capping a closely watched multi-year process of identifying Bob Iger's successor. Dana Walden, Disney Entertainment co-chairman, has been named the new president and chief creative officer of a newly created role. Disney's board of directors voted unanimously on the moves, which were announced on Tuesday, and it will take effect at the company's annual meeting on March 18th. So a little over a month from now, he'll become the new CEO. The board also intends to add D'Amaro to the board at the meeting. Dana Walden will report directly to D'Amaro. Iger is staying on as the senior advisor until the end of his current contract at the end of the year, surrendering the CEO title on March 18th. So, on March 18th, Disney will have a new CEO. He's been selected now. The Dana Walden elevation, I think, is also very interesting because that's really more to do with our area of interest, which is more the movies and entertainment thing. And she's got a very good track record. Dana Walden has a great track record. She worked very closely with the previous heads of entertainment there. She also had a history at Fox, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And the fact that she did get really close. Now, as a matter of fact, the article goes on to explain that the board actually contemplated making D'Amaro and Walden co-CEOs, which has kind of been all the rage lately in corporate entertainment, naming not one CEO, but co-CEOs. But they opted to go the more traditional route. They went with D'Amaro and they elevated Walden at the same time. This is the kind of pick on paper that looks right. Disney's just too big of a beast. I don't really think you can go outside of the company and bring somebody new in who has to learn Disney. I mean, D'Amaro's been at Disney for decades. He was just the head of their park experiences. Some people love him. Some people don't for what he did with parks. You know my overall philosophy about Disney parks. Fuck Disneyland.
To me, they made it inaccessible.
Yeah, I mean, they have, and yet, every time Ann Drags is there, that place is shoulder to shoulder packed with people, man.
Yeah.
Every time I go. I don't know why. I hate that place, but whatever. Screw Disney. But the fact of the matter is, he brought a lot of stability to that branch of their business, particularly coming out of the pandemic. And he's just a guy who knows the company, but most importantly, he's worked with Iger, and Iger and the board feel comfortable that unlike what Chapek did, which was totally to make a U-turn on their philosophies, he's going to carry on Bob Iger's philosophies and bring his own identity to it as well. And don't worry about, as movie fans, that he doesn't have a movie background. The movies is just one part of Disney's business. That's why they elevated Dana Walden. And you're still going to have Bergman there. Bergman is still staying there in his role. He was also one of the candidates for the CEO role, but he wasn't one of the finalists. But he's going to be staying there, still running everything. Guys like Kevin Feige are going to still be reporting to Bergman. Bergman will now be reporting to Walden. So it looks like they're keeping some continuity in there. This looks like on paper, Rob, like it is going to be a smoother transition, a better transition than what they had with Chapek. But then again, on paper, the Chapek hire looked good too. And it wasn't until he took power that we realized he had some pretty screwy ideas that nearly ruined everything. But I think they feel they took years to go through this. They vetted everything very carefully. Iger seems very happy with it. The chairman of the board seems very happy with it. So I think this was probably the right move for them to do right now. Now we just got to wait and see if it works out like it did with Iger, or if it doesn't work out like it did with Chapek. Rob, you saw the announcement here this morning. What do you feel about the new leadership over at Disney?
I think it looks good. You know, I mean, like you said, I think they've taken time to do this, you know, and I think they've probably charted a course. They know where they want to go, and they're going to implement that. And like you said, it doesn't even take effect till March, and Iger's going to be there until December, until his contract runs out. So I think the transition will be smooth, and I think we'll wait and see. You know, I'd have to see how they perform and how it works out, and how is it going to affect the entertainment that they make. But I think for the most part, it looks pretty safe. Like it's not going to rock the boat.
What about the Dana Walden move?
Well, I think, you know what? I think you split up responsibilities. And I mean, it's not like she's coming out from the outsides from somewhere and coming in and she's never been at Disney before. I mean, I think it's stable. And that's what you want.
What it does is it adds a stopgap, because he will probably work out fine. That's not the point. But if he doesn't work out, you have a stopgap on creative.
Yes.
So it can keep running until they can find a new, rudder.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing with Disney was a lot of people, and of course, this is the thing. We movie fans, we think of Disney, we think of them as a movie company. That is not the lion's share of their business. The big pieces of Disney's business is not their movie industry. It's their parks and experiences. Parks and experiences is their biggest. They actually just made a $60 billion commitment to upgrading their cruises and all that kind of stuff. They're not spending $60 billion on Marvel movies.
Nope.
So they brought in a guy to run the whole company, and to make sure that the entertainment stuff goes well, they also elevated Dana Walden. And I think in theory, that looks like the right move. Look, the key is always to bring in somebody who knows how to have the right generals with them, who knows how to have the right lieutenants working with them. And if he can set that up and entertainment continue around, and you keep Bergman in the position that he's in right now, I don't think we're going to even notice a hiccup, honestly. On the movie side, I don't think we're going to notice a hiccup.
Nope.
I think this will all be good. But again, we had a lot of optimism when Chapek got hired too, and we'll see how that goes. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, as of today and for the next about 6 weeks or so, Bob Iger is still the CEO, but they've now picked his successor. He's going to stay on until the end of the year as a senior advisor, and then finally get around to that retirement that he wanted to start enjoying a couple of years ago.
Hang out with Alan Horn.
Hang out. Him and Alan Horn can hang out together again. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. And, as we jump into this, right off the bat, I'm going to have Jonathan put up the old spoiler warning. Just for in case. Now, you guys know that some time ago, we were talking about Avengers Doomsday. And the fact that...
We've done that.
Yeah, that a couple of us in this room know almost everything that happens in the movie. And I also said a couple of weeks ago that, listen, I've been getting contacted by more and more people who seem to now know what's going on. And I said on the show, I think by July, everything's going to be out there because all these people are finding things out. Now, there's a lot of stuff being reported out there that is totally wrong. Some stuff being reported that is right. But, Rob and I were talking before the show started today. That pace of the leaking has turned into a gush. And I said to Rob this morning, I said, remember how I said I think everything's going to be out there by the end of July? I said, I honestly now think everything's going to be out there by the end of March. Yeah. I really do.
Well, now because you've got all the effects houses working on things.
Yeah. There's just so many now points of release. And I got to admit, and Rob, I texted you a little bit about this earlier this morning. It brings up a philosophical quandary.
Yeah.
Which is, look, if I didn't know what was happening in Doomsday, then I would be picking up on all these topics out there, rumors and reports, and we would be talking about them. Just like all the other outlets now are talking about them. But I felt awkward about talking about them because we do know what happens. I've had some people say, I hate it when you rub it into us so you know what happens. We don't do that. We bring up, we know what happens when people ask questions about Doomsday because we need to be transparent and full disclosure so that there's no, we're not deceiving, right, and we're being above board to make sure you guys know exactly from what position we're speaking of. It's just to have transparency. It's not to rub anything in. We don't bring it up until people ask about Doomsday. And then we say, okay, well, just, of course, we do know what happens in Doomsday. That's for being full disclosure. So I've struggled a lot. I know Rob's has too. We've struggled with when is it okay to talk about something and when is it not? Considering everybody else out there seems to be talking. Now, when it comes to this new particular thing, there's a report going around about at the end of Thunderbolts, when they look up at the screen and they see the Fantastic Four ship, that there are 2 other characters on that ship other than the Fantastic Four.
No.
Oh, yeah. And it's not just guys like Daniel RPK who have now put it out. A friend of the show, Jeff Snyder, has put it out. You look around at things like this. Superhero Hype has headlines on it. Comic book movies now have headlines on it. On and on and on. I found a whole ton of major outlets, not major outlets as in the Hollywood Reporter, but a lot of the big fan-based outlets were all talking about it. And, Rob, I was so conflicted about this. I even jumped on the YouTube channel this morning and I asked our readers, guys, listen, at what point when a piece of information about the movie is really now getting out there, is it okay for us to talk about? And I got a lot of great feedback and a lot of great input from our viewers. And this one is so out there now everywhere that I figured this is an instance when we can kind of chime in a little bit and say this. So with the spoiler warning up there that Jonathan has, the rumor and the report going around, that is on all these outlets, Daniel RPK, Jeff Snyder, all these guys are putting this out there. The rumor is that on this Fantastic Four ship that we see at the end of Thunderbolts coming to Earth, that along with the Fantastic Four on that ship are 2 other individuals. Those individuals, so to say all the reports, are Steve Rogers and Dr. Doom.
That's cool.
That's the report. So, at this point, yeah, it is. Everybody, it's out there. Everybody's talking about it. It's now public. So at this point, I'll just say, yeah, it is. Now, there's a lot of stuff out there. Don't be misled into thinking that because this one's real and all the outlets are carrying it, that means everything you've read online is real. Oh, it's not. There's still a lot of nonsense floating around out there. And I'll also say this, even within the reports about Steve Rogers and Doom being on the ship. There's a bunch of other things about how they're on the ship and why they're on their ship. Totally wrong. At least some of them about why Steve and Doom are on that ship and how they came about to be on that ship. There's some stuff out there that is totally off base. I'm just going to say that. But as everybody else is reporting, yes, they're there. Now, again, I want to reemphasize there is a lot of other stuff being reported out there about things that are happening in Doomsday that are just not true at all. And I think over the next few weeks, because I was telling Rob, I got contacted last night by somebody said, "Hey, John, is it true that blank, blank, blank?" And I was like, there's no way anybody else, like, that's a major thing that happens in Doomsday. Now, even that's getting out. I stand by it. I think by the end of March, everything about this movie is going to be out there. And you know what? It doesn't matter. I know everything that happens in Doomsday, and I can't wait to see this movie. Like, it just made me more excited. So that might happen with everybody else as well. So anyway, there it is. It's out there. Rob, I think this is it's about more than just the story about certain details now coming out about Doomsday, but it raises a really interesting question for us as fandom, for us as people who do content in our fan circles, about how fast this information is getting out. You pointed out a little bit earlier that, hey, now it's in the post-production phase. That literally means now thousands of more people are working
around
on
the world.
Around the world are in the know now, and every single one of those people represents a point of failure that it can spread to 100,000
But they're
other
also,
people.
they've signed NDAs, you know, and all that.
Yeah, but there's so many people that know it now. It's so hard to track. Anyway, how fast do you think all this information is getting out there? Is this just a part of the new reality of filmmaking that you're just going to have to accept this happens? I don't know. What's your take on this overall?
I mean, it's such a weird thing because one of my most eagerly awaited movies of the year is Project Hail Mary. Well, I read that book. You know, I know everything that comes out. It's not a secret. Anybody can read Project Hail Mary. This, though, you know, the way things are coming out, it seems like I would think that we as film fans would want to keep this stuff secret because the enjoyment of discovery, especially, I would say, in this movie in particular, there is so much joy to be had in it. I often, you know, and so all these little things that people are just dumping all this information out, like, what's the point? I mean, other than getting clicks, I would say I would think we should be doing just the opposite. We should be, as fans, ever vigilant and protect those secrets with our lives. I know that's probably something wishful thinking on my part, but it's like, I went into Endgame, I did everything in the world to not learn anything, and I pretty much went in spoiler free. I didn't watch any of the trailers. I didn't know anything that was going to happen. And I saw Endgame with you on the Disney lot, and it was so enjoyable. That experience was so enjoyable for me because I was truly surprised, and I truly loved it. So I've decided, John, that I'm going to do something about it. We pretty much know everything that happens in this movie. So I have decided I am going to spill all the information I can, but it's all going to be lies. I am no longer going to tell the truth about anything I know about this movie. For instance, I'll give you an example.
You're a Rob variant, aren't you?
What has not gotten out is the reason that Mark Ruffalo, people thought he was being fired, is because Ed Norton's Hulk is coming back.
I knew it.
Along with Terrence Howard's War Machine.
No, Rob,
And
don't let
work-
people know that.
They work for Doom. They
don't
work for
spill
Doom.
that.
The X-Men, it's during the X-Men Earth is the Age of Apocalypse.
You're breaking
Earth.
my heart, Annie.
And why was Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine? Why did we see the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine in that brief moment? Because it's a tie-in to Avengers Doomsday. I mean, and let's face it, Gwen Stacy, why was Emma Stone on the set of Doomsday? She plays Gwen Stacy. Why? She's married to Doom. I mean, I'm just
He
gonna
could go all day, folks.
I'm
could
just
go
going
all
to
day.
come right out and say it. I've just decided that all I'm going to do for the next 10 months is run a lying disinformation campaign. But every one of my lies has a smidgen of truth. So if they go completely unreported, that means somebody's missing out on something good. So I'll leave it up. I mean, look, my favorite, though, is the 2 days that James Spader, when he was, they were doing the Vision Quest series.
Yes.
And they were doing Doomsday at the same time. How does Doctor Doom get the power to create Battleworld? The Infinity Gauntlet version of Ultron that we saw in What If. That's where Doom gets the template for his Doombots, is from that Ultron, and he takes the Infinity Stones, and that's how he's able to build Battleworld at the end of Doomsday.
You know what this is? This is what's his name doing the filibuster in Parks and Rec. Patton
Oswalt.
Yeah, this is Patton Oswalt now doing the thing there. But okay, but look, here brings up an honest conundrum and question that I have to ask myself. As somebody, as one of many movie fans who does a YouTube channel or a blog or a podcast, is that, like, once something like this piece of information that we're talking about specifically gets out, at what point do I, as somebody who does this for a living, become now the only outlet that doesn't then talk about it? Like, I learned a very inadvertent but harsh lesson during Tobey Maguire Dickgate.
Yeah.
I got to get that t-shirt made. Look at Toby's dick. I got to get that shirt made. When I put up the pictures, by the way, pictures that had been reported on a year earlier by other outlets.
Yeah.
And I thought the picture was fake because of the lighting in it, but it turned out the pictures were real, pulled them down, but too late. They were already online for 7 minutes and everybody copied and pasted them. So there was that. So, like, when I started finding out about all the stuff about Doomsday, like, the thing I committed to myself is nobody is going to find out any of this from me. No one's going to find out about this from me. No one's going to find out that Doom and Steve Rogers are on the Fantastic Four ship from me. I'm not going to be the one to tell people. But then, as somebody who does a show like this, well, once it is out there and everybody else is talking about it, do I become the only channel that doesn't discuss it? When if I didn't know about everything, I would be discussing it and having conversations and talking while everybody else is free to do it. At what point do I go, okay, I'm not the one who let people know. I'm not the one who put this information out there, but it is out there now. And so do I stick my head in the sand and not discuss it?
Right.
Or now at this
then you
point
seem
that other
disingenuous.
people have put it out, now do I discuss it? And I'm still torn about it, Rob. Like, I still feel conflicted about it a little bit. I still don't really know the right, especially now that we know that all this information is going to start coming out pretty rapidly. So I got to come up with what my general guidelines are going to be pretty damn quick because it's happening faster and faster now.
Although, I mean, it's an interesting conundrum because, look, I've read Dune, Messiah, and Children of Dune. There's been 2 miniseries that the Sci-Fi Channel put those, and we don't talk about what's going to happen in Dune. We don't talk about what's happening in Project Hail Mary. And yet somebody could say, you know what I heard about Project Hail Mary? I'm like, you could have read the book. I mean, it's this is a different animal.
It is.
In that this is something that people want. They have an unquenchable desire to know what's going to happen because we are infants, John. We as film fans and as Avengers fans and as superhero fanatics, we are infants. We are children that can't keep our mouths shut.
Well, and with Project Hail Mary and Dune, it's all available. If anybody did want to know, they could just pick up the book and read. Can't do that with this.
I would say this. The only reason that people want to get one over on, the only reason to reveal this information about what this movie is about is to ruin the experience for other people. That's it. Because you're not uncovering something. The movie had a script. They shot it. Actors said the lines. They're doing the visual effects. It's not something that, you're uncovering something that no one knows about. A lot of people know about it. It's out there. But if you have the opportunity to save that experience for other people,
that's not my job. My job is to talk about all the stuff that's out there.
I understand,
That's my job. When you do your
but
show,
you don't
that's
talk
your
about
job.
plot points about any other movies. Why this one?
Sure, I do.
Well, not when you haven't, before you've seen it. It's like we weren't talking about what happens in Zootopia 2 before it came out.
But I mean, when news comes out that so-and-so is making an appearance in this movie, we
Right.
talk about it. When news comes out that, hey, they shot a big scene at this location, we
Right.
talk about it.
But
right?
that's not a plot point. That's just something that's like somebody starring in it. You're not revealing something in universe.
Well, we haven't revealed any plot points.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I think that there's a difference. Like if somebody's in look, we know that if Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, I mean, that's why Andrew Garfield is pissed at Doom in Doomsday, because he's with Gwen Stacy. But sorry. But anyway, these in-universe reveals, we don't want to do that, except the one I just did. But we don't want to do that because that interferes with the actual enjoyment of watching the film. But if they're filming something, we don't know how that person works into the storyline, and if somebody's in a movie, like if we want to look at the IMDb, I don't think that's a secret. I don't think that's a spoiler. That's just a fact.
But different people have different interpretations of what spoiler means.
Right. But if you're talking about a plot point, like for instance, whoever's on this ship and why they're on this ship, that's an actual thing that's in the movie. And the movie's coming out Doomsday, December 18th. Why not wait? Find out then. See what happens. Now, if you want to report on an actor being in you know what? Robert Downey Jr. is playing Dr. Doom. I don't know why. I don't know how, but he came out of Comic-Con.
But do we feel that way really? Because you and I know a couple of actors who are in this movie that we are not telling people about. I'm sure it'll come out. And I don't think either you or I would feel comfortable.
But you know what? That we know that was a secret. Like, for instance, when I saw X-Men Days of Future Past, and I'm friends with Bryan Singer, I went to a screening on the Fox lot with Emma Watts sitting there. And I did not know that Jean Grey and Scott Summers were in the movie. I didn't know that. And I teared up, and if I had known that, I wouldn't have had that experience of tearing up.
See, I did because I saw the live stream of the red carpet and they were on the red carpet.
Yeah,
So it's like,
I saw it a couple months before it came out. And I loved that experience. I loved having that experience.
I agree. But let's say for argument's sake, okay, this is not true. Let's say that
Or is
word
it?
got out that Mark Ruffalo was in Doomsday. Okay, so that report came out. Mark Ruffalo is in Doomsday.
Ed Norton is.
Let's say you and I knew that was the case, right? So, okay, that's an actor report, and somebody else reports it, and now the whole movie fandom is talking about it. Can we then discuss it? Saying, so, well, somebody else put it out there. It's now out there. It is what it is. It's like you often say, it's not what should, it's what is.
Yeah.
It is out there. At that point, are we going to be the only people in the fan community that don't talk about it? Because it is out there. People know about it whether we talk about it or not. So do we talk about it or do we not? And that's the one I'm struggling with. That's what I'm wrestling with.
Here's why you're struggling. Because if we were just like everyone else, if we were like everyone else and we didn't know, and then it was reported, we'd report on it.
Yeah.
Because we found out the same as everyone else. But because you know the truth, you feel a little bit like, should I corroborate this?
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I mean, no one knows that Stephen Dorff's character from Blade's coming back.
Deacon Frost?
Deacon Frost.
Deacon Frost is
Will
working with
return
Doom
in
in this,
Avengers
everybody.
He's been in the void the
Deacon
whole time.
Frost will return in
Yeah.
Doomsday.
I mean, it's
so
pretty
I guess
cool.
just approach it as if you don't know.
That's that. Oh, but is that disingenuous?
No, because you let people know you know, but
I mean, yeah, let people know that I know, but try to approach it like I'm not.
but you would. But the fact of it is, you would have reported on it if you didn't know.
So
yeah.
I think so. This report that is now out there and now everybody knows it. Yes, Dr. Doom is on the ship. Yes, Steve Rogers is on the ship. The accurate information is not out to why they're on the ship, and we're not going to share that. But I guess I would ask
we might as
people,
well.
You're going to make up another.
I'm not. That's when they travel back in time, and it's not just Steve Rogers. It's the entire invaders from World War II.
Nice.
And it's not the Steve Rogers that we saw in the 616. It's a different Steve Rogers, and they had to travel through time to get him. And you know who else is on the ship? More people from the invaders.
Interesting.
It's true.
And Batman.
No, not he was not part of the Invaders. Different company.
That would
Come
be
on, man.
funny if they did put
DC.
Batman on there.
But the Invaders appearance is really cool.
So I guess the question I have for people is the whole premise of the John Campea Show is we are here to be the water cooler. We're here to be the place where all of us as movie fans get around and talk about all the stuff that's going on in the world of movies and the things that everybody else is talking about and what are we buzzing about and what are we chatting about. So when literally the biggest movie there's going to be in the world over the next couple of years is coming out, and other outlets leak the information, and then it spreads, should we then talk about it at that point?
I think if it's out and it's corroborated by other.
Dude, my business manager, oh my God, he laid out a 7-point case about why I should make 8 different videos revealing everything that happens in Doomsday. I'm like, no, not going to do it. But if other people leak it and then it spreads, because there have been leaks, Rob, you and I both know this. There have been some leaks that are real that have come out, but they didn't get any traction and they didn't spread.
Right.
We never talked about them. We never brought them up. We just say, hey, there's some things out there that are totally false. There's some things out there that are true, but we're not going to tell you which is which. But then you get something like this, that it did get traction and everybody starts talking about it. You know, where do we do that? Yeah.
Although I am feeling a little more and more like we're these 3 guys.
You know what? That's one part of those guys are one part of the Twilight series I actually liked.
Yeah.
I love Michael in that. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I guess there are really 2 different discussions here. One's kind of personal. The one thing is the reports going around that Doom and Steve Rogers are on that ship. They are. Okay, there's that. I'm not going to say why or how or what it means, but there you go. But the second thing is, it is going to be the biggest film in the world. We are here to talk about being film fans. If information comes out and spreads everywhere, should we then talk about it? Or should we be the only people in the world that don't get to talk about it? That sounded like a leading question. I'm honestly struggling with it. Whatever you guys think about all this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your comments and questions that you guys have fired in. But before we do, we got to do 2 things. First, bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer extraordinaire, Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, great job as always, my friend. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Logo, Longshot, and Mojo, and Trevor Fitzroy, and Bishop in Avengers Doomsday.
It's going to be amazing. It's so full. So many
great.
characters. But the second thing that we need to do before getting to your questions, we need to take a quick second and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at PrizePicks. Guys, we want to take a second and thank the sponsor of today's episode, PrizePicks. Well, the big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than with PrizePicks, where it always feels good to be right. With the football season coming to a close, this is your last chance to jump into football action before next year, and PrizePicks is making it easy by giving you $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. What I've always loved about PrizePicks is how simple it is. You're just picking more or less on player projections, building your lineup, and rooting at home while you watch the game. I also really like their early payouts feature. If a player gets off to a hot start, you can cash out before the game even ends. And with the new social feed, you can follow other players, copy lineups that you like, or use them as inspiration for your own. So don't miss out. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code CAMPEA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CAMPEA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. And thank you to our friends at PrizePicks for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that all down, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Suthia says, hey, gents, your thoughts on Kosinski as a director? As of now, he's pretty much 50-50 with his 6 movies. Bottom 3 are scored rotten. Top 3 are scored in the 80s and 90s for both critics and audience.
He is truly a hit or miss director. But I would say he's evolved. Like when you look at things like F1 and Top Gun Maverick, I mean, he's evolved his style. Like I remember, what was the one he did with Tom Cruise before? Was it Oblivion? I
want to say Oblivion. It was okay.
I didn't like Oblivion very much, and I didn't like his Tron movie either, to be honest. And then he did that one with Chris Hemsworth called Spiderhead. Remember where you take the drug and remember that? I didn't like that one.
I actually forgot about that.
But he has evolved. Like he's like any good artist or athlete or whatever. You learn, you adapt, you grow, and he seems to be getting better and better. But yeah, I'd say for now it's fair to call him hit or miss. I love Maverick. I love F1. But yeah, I'd say he's hit or miss.
All right, we got is it Jake
Tobin?
Yeah, I feel like sorry.
It's
okay,
you can ask. I can just deny it or answer. But
Big Ten. No. I lost my place. I think I scrolled down by accident. Big Ten says, "Hey John, huge fan from the AMC days. First time writing in.
Oh, thank you, man.
Started listening to Project Hail Mary, and oh my goodness, I am so excited to see how they bring the book to life. Thanks for all you do,
dude. That movie's going to be so insanely good. Not just because the book is ludicrously good. It's better than The Martian. Like it's so good. And you got Lord and Miller doing it. I'm very curious to see how they're going to fit that whole story into 2.5 hours. But I think it could be. I mean, I don't think Rob is overreacting when he thinks that could be the best film of the year. And we're talking a year that's got, Odyssey coming out and others. I think it could be the best film of the year. We'll see. All right, what's next?
Jay Tovin says, does Days of Future Past contribute to Doomsday?
Obviously, I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah.
Fair to ask, but you can understand why I'm not, especially with the conversation we just had, I'm not going to answer. All right, what's next? Other than to say clearly from the previews, there are characters
that we've seen,
but that you already know.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Brahmi Blue says the World Cup has billions of TV viewers globally. Infinitely bigger event than the Super Bowl. Better opportunity for Doomsday marketing.
Well, but World Cup is an ongoing tournament with dozens of games.
It's like the Olympics in a sense, because it goes on and on.
Yeah, like the Olympics.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the Super Bowl, the one concentrated thing that is like, and when it comes to American audiences, is by far the most watched thing. So it's a different thing. Do you advertise sometime during the weeks-long World Cup? Yes, absolutely. But Super Bowl's kind of special. It's always been looked at differently by marketing and things like that. So yeah, anyway. All right, what's next?
Jay Liu says, and the first half is a fair question. What are Doom's powers in the comics? We can't talk about his powers in the movie, but what are his powers in the comics?
Well, how did you word the second part of it?
If you are willing, what are some of his powers in Doomsday?
Okay, well, obviously not going to go into any of that. Doom has been portrayed different ways in the comics. Sometimes all science, sometimes mystical. The biggest one is he is the ultimate hybrid of science and magic. At one point, even like he was the apprentice, I believe, for a bit to Doctor Strange, where I think he and Doctor Strange, I forget the name of the storyline, but there's one storyline where Doom and Doctor Strange like literally go to hell to fight Mephisto to get the soul of Doom's mother back and all that kind of stuff. So he is kind of like the ultimate fusion of science and sorcery. All right, what's next?
We have Suthius, who says, I like how the Monarch series, that's the Godzilla series, has the tone of the first two Godzilla movies and the one Kong movie. The last two movies were fun, but tone was not the same. I
think you're right. I think that's a good observation. I think
and
the
full
Monarch
trailer came out today.
By the way, I cannot wait for season 2.
I have to see the trailer.
Oh, you haven't yet?
There's a new trailer today.
A new trailer dropped today?
Apple put out, yeah.
Well, I guess we'll have to talk about that tomorrow. I agree with you. I think it very much is going more of the more serious tone, if you can talk about serious with a giant lizard monster that stomps on cities. But you're right. It does go for the more serious tone, whereas the Godzilla X Kong movies have really gone for fun. And by the way, no complaints from me. I've had a blast watching the Godzilla X Kong movies. But I do agree with you. I like the way they kind of go with a little bit more quote-unquote grounded way with Monarch. I agree with you. All right, what's next?
Captain Dr. Hawkeye says, National Treasure, Mr. Alan Alda just celebrated his 90th birthday recently.
Wow.
What's some of your favorite performances of his outside of MASH?
You know, it's funny because as great as Alan Alda is, outside of MASH, he doesn't have a lot of tentpole major things. Like if you're talking about Harrison Ford,
Right.
he's Han Solo and Indiana Jones. You know, he doesn't really have that. But I will tell you this. One of the greatest shows of all time, West Wing. His character, performance, role in that, especially, he kind of like was the runway into the ending of the series. And he was great. He was the Republican nominee for president, and he was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like really, really great. He was the kind of Republican that you wished more Republicans would be like. But he was a fantastic character. Loved him in that. Again, he was even in things like, he had a recurring role in Blacklist, which I really liked him in. He was in a couple of good comedies, but I'll always think of Alan Alda outside of MASH in West Wing.
I saw him in a play years ago with Victor Garber, you know, from and Alfred Molina. It was called Art, and they play three friends that are like kind of like in a having in a spat.
You know,
it was really
Garber's
good.
a guy who he's a guy that everybody recognizes him when they see him.
Yes, of course.
But they don't know his name. You know when I really first noticed him was in Jennifer Garner's Alias. Alias was that. Then of course he was in the Arrowverse for a bit
and
too.
Star Trek before that.
Oh yeah, he was everywhere.
Yeah.
But he's one of those actors that everybody will recognize him, but they don't quite know his name.
Yep, exactly. We got Barry Morgan with a $50 super chat.
Oh my goodness, Barry! Thank you so much, man, for supporting us on that level, dude.
Maybe we could do this in broad strokes. Is there any particular moment in Doomsday that you're looking forward to seeing? Also, do you think we'll see ninjas in Doomsday or Secret Wars? Love your show and all you guys been watching for 7 years. Keep doing great things. I mean, I'm looking forward to Ian McKellen's performance. So in a broad stroke, I could say that.
Yeah, without giving details, I can say there are like no less than 5 what the fuck moments in Doomsday that I'm so looking forward to seeing on screen. I'll also tell you this. There is a single moment. And again, I'm going to give you no context, nothing. But there is a single moment that happens in Doomsday. And you will remember these words when you see the movie. And you won't know what's coming. That more than anything else in all of the MCU will have people screeching in horror and shock and despair than anything else Marvel's ever done. There's a particular moment that is going to be a talked about all year moment, and that I'm really excited to see. But again, there's no less than like 5 amazing like pillar moments in this movie that I just cannot wait to see how they do it. All right, what's next?
Brandon says, visited London recently. I got to see a show starring Bryan Cranston and Papa Asidu. Let's just say I'm very excited to see his Snape after watching.
Oh, dude, listen, this guy, I always get most excited about new names who come from the stage. Because those are the best actors in the world. The best actors in the world are the ones that come from stage. And so that's why I've always been completely on board with his casting as Snape. I think it's, again, number one thing, get great talent in there. You get great talent, everything else will take care of itself. He's going to be great. All right, what's next?
Screen Speak says, will you do a meetup in Ohio in April or May?
There's a good chance. If not April or May, maybe June, but yes, there will definitely. Now, the question has been and will continue to be where in Ohio.
Yeah, because there's 3
Cincinnati,
cities
Cleveland, Akron. I mean, I'm not 100% sure yet, but yes, there will be a movie meetup in Ohio once we get past the winter. All right, what's next?
Logan, Logan says, did you see the video from Fan Expo where Boyega announces that he has been cast in a Star Wars Episode 10?
You know what? Somebody sent me that video saying, oh, and I watched it. It's like, no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, he talks a lot about potential and things that could happen, but at least the video I watched, he never comes out and says, just to let everybody know, I have been cast in Star Wars Episode 10. It just didn't say that.
And what's episode 10? Are we talking about what's his name's trilogy? Uh,
Yeah, there is no Episode 10, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about Rey's movie, but I mean, anyway, so I didn't see it. I mean, I watched the video and I didn't see what you saw in there. So I don't know. Maybe we're talking about different movies. All right, what's next?
Logan says, just checked. It was posted by Ryan's House Prod. So it's probably, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Mate, based on the script, do you love how they will pair up groups, characters in Doomsday like Thing and M'Baku?
Not going to address that. Not going to address that. Just to say that the manner, look, chemistry comes from on screen. Chemistry doesn't come from the page, right? We've seen that many times. Things can be written one way, may come across completely different. So chemistry and how well certain characters are going to play off each other, we don't know until we see them on screen. I will say this, though. I do love the narrative flow of it. I love how this story flows. And we'll see how well the pairings work out. All right, what's next?
Sorry, yeah, I was just looking at a calendar here because of this next question. Baby Boy says, looks like we're going to have another movie double header, both Ready or Not 2, and They Will Kill You releases on March 27th.
No, they don't both release on the same day, do they?
That's what I'm trying to see. They Will Kill You is March 27th.
But is Ready or Not Here I Come coming
that's
out on
not
March?
showing up. I'm gonna bring it up on
Or just search Google for the release date. Okay, look. Zazie Beetz. They Will Kill You.
Oh, it's a week apart.
A week apart. Listen, I look, all due respect to They Will Kill You and Zazie Beetz. That movie looks like a straight up ripoff.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, we were before the show started. That movie looks like a straight up ripoff of Ready or Not. I'm sorry. It just does. As a matter of fact, I told Jonathan before the show started, if I didn't know this is a totally different movie, and I watched that trailer, I would have thought, oh, they're making a sequel to Ready or Not. But of course, there's already a sequel to Ready or Not coming. It looks like a straight up ripoff of Ready or Not. Totally complete ripoff. And I don't care.
And they're a week apart.
It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's March 20 and March 27.
And they're coming out a week apart.
It's so funny.
Anyway, yeah, it looks like a complete deliberate ripoff of Ready or Not, but it does look insanely fun. So I'm going to go see both of these movies, and I'm excited to see them both, even if they are ripoffs. All right, what's next?
All right. PB asks, will Loki fans be happy in Doomsday?
I am not going to answer that.
Saying.
Believe me, I want to answer that, but I'm not going to answer
Not saying. Okay.
All right, what's next?
Pasha says, Bradley Cooper in Burnt or American Sniper, which is your favorite performance?
Neither. Actually, neither are even in the top two. My favorite two performances of his are Silver Linings Playbook, which I'm not saying that's my favorite movie of his, but his performance is stellar. And again, not my favorite movie of his, but his performance in A Star Is Born. That's the movie that shows you how good of an actor he is. So I would say his two best performances are Silver Linings and A Star Is Born. All right, what's next?
Then we got Sean who says, hey guys, every year I watch The Jacksons and American Dream. The new trailer reminds me of it a lot. Must watch if you haven't seen it. That was a made for TV movie, I believe.
Was it?
Yeah, I remember that.
I've never even heard of it.
It's pretty good. And it was a mini series, I think, or it was a movie, but it was made for TV.
I'm assuming it all just focuses on the younger years, like just the Jackson 5 years.
Yep.
Huh,
up to Michael splitting off. Yeah.
All right. What's next?
Mojo Media. Bradley Cooper, one of the best working today without an Oscar. 12 nominations across acting, directing, producing, and writing categories.
Yeah. I don't know. Look, I think Bradley Cooper is an amazing actor. I've liked him ever since we just talked about the show, Alias. I used to love him. I used to want Jennifer Garner to end up with him.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I had a chance to get together with Bradley Cooper. Now, this was when he was doing that little horror movie called Midnight Meat Train. And I got together. It was the first time I had a chance to get together with him. And we sat down, we started talking. And I told him, I said, listen, dude, I just got to let you know, I always wanted your character to end up with Jennifer Garner in Alias. And he was like, thank you. And we had this big, huge conversation just about that. I love Bradley Cooper. You know what? Okay. If you're going to say one of the best without an Oscar, if you're going to extend that to say the top 10 best actors today who don't have an Oscar yet for acting, I'll agree with you on that. I'll put Bradley Cooper in that category. Top 10 best actors right now who don't have an acting Academy Award. Yeah, I wouldn't put him in top 3, but I'll have him in the top 10. I like him a lot. I just really like him a lot.
I think he's a good director too.
And don't forget The Hangover. He does comedy so well. So anyway, all right, what's next?
Mate says, do you think Tom Hiddleston would make a good younger Palpatine for a potential series for Phantom Menace?
Ex-actor and ex-role.
He'd make a great anything.
Yeah, like the only question I ask is, do you get somebody who's a really good actor? Tom Hiddleston is an exceptional Shakespearean actor.
And do we need to see the adventures of young Palpatine?
Yeah. So yes, he would be great, but so would 36 other actors. So ex-actor and ex-role, as long as you get somebody who's really talented and really good, sure. So Tom Hiddleston is a talented actor, so sure. All right, what's next?
Christopher Diaz says, what did you think of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple?
Still didn't see it.
Oh, I thought you did see Bone Temple.
No, okay. I was supposed to go see it one night, and then we had that thing came up, and we couldn't go.
Gotcha. That thing where you went and saw Doomsday? Just kidding.
Just saying. So I didn't like 28 Years Later. I'm thrilled to hear how much people like Bone Temple, but I just never got around to seeing it. So because here's the thing. Because I didn't have a chance to see it in the first couple of days, I have a rule. I don't review any movie that I don't see in the first 48 hours that it comes out. There's no point in reviewing it at that point. And so since I'm not reviewing it, it has to go lower on my priority list. And I need to either stay home and watch shows or go see other things. So I just haven't gotten around to seeing Bone Temple yet, but I hear it's fantastic and I will check it out at some point. All right, what's next?
We got DJ who says, hi guys, when I asked about Star Trek yesterday, the next gen on the big screen, I meant a follow-up from the Chris Pine universe, so like the Kelvin universe. New actors playing Picard's crew instead. But I just think, again, that's just like, Kelvin universe is done, so it's just Kelvin universe.
But even if it's not Kelvin universe, even if it's just a remake, but now with recasted, and I will say the same reason why I always said it was a mistake to make the Solo movie. You don't make a Solo movie when we literally just the year before had Harrison Ford on screen as Solo. We literally just had Picard season 3. You don't now follow that up just a couple of years later with all new recasted. Next Generation's era is over. Let's not go back to those characters. It's time for Star Trek to move forward and do new things. All right, what's next?
Rutger Cole says, do you think Adam Sandler should stop doing comedies and focus more on dramas? I think he has been phenomenal in Uncut Gems, and Punch Drunk Love is my favorite performance of his.
Yeah, but his best performance is Reign Over Me. I still think he should have, I kid you not, I really believe he should have won an Academy Award for Reign Over Me. That was the movie that went like, oh my God. Listen, I've been saying for years that Adam Sandler has had a magnificent comedy career. Move on from it though now. Move into the drama era of your career. And I think he has just like a phenomenal dramatic actor. And so I've been saying for years, I think he needs to move more permanently into drama or at least dramedy. All right, what's next?
I just saw him in, what was that one with George Clooney? I just watched that.
The guy's name.
Yeah, Jake Kelly.
Jake, yes.
His performance was great in that.
Yeah, and listen, he was even getting, the nominees are already out, but he was getting some buzz for Best Supporting Actor in that.
Okay, then we got Jay Redcorn. Still can't believe we're getting Rush Hour 4. In my opinion, is going to be a disaster, especially with Brett Ratner. Do you think it would have been better to reboot it?
We're not going to get Rush Hour 4.
I don't believe that's even happening.
Especially now that, listen, you guys know. All those women came forward a few years ago and talked about his misbehaving. And now yesterday with all the new Epstein stuff, there are all those pictures with him with Epstein squeezing some underage girls.
Yeah.
What studio is going to get behind this? Again, listen, I'm not telling you that I now have factual information that Rush Hour 4 ain't going to happen. I don't. Okay. This is just me. Like you, a fan, sitting a sideline, I don't think Rush Hour 4 is going to happen.
I don't believe it either.
All right, what's next?
Can't answer this, but I'll read it. How shocking will Doomsday ending be?
Not going to answer that. Not going to say whether even if it is or not.
Yeah. Alan says, is it a hot take to say the Michael film could be 2026's first $2 billion film?
That's a hot take.
That's,
it's,
yeah.
No.
That's
Listen,
Avatar area.
when you consider no musical biopic has ever even made 1 billion, let's cross that threshold. Yeah, 2 billion is not realistic. 2 billion is not. But I'm telling you, I believe this is going to be the first $1 billion biopic. I really do. But not 2. Two's too far out there. All right, what's next?
We've got Super Nintendo Chalmers. When you read Doomsday, was there any I can't believe they just did that? I think
Many.
you said
I can say that, many, but I'm
Yeah,
not
you
going to
said-
give you any indication as to what, though.
Yeah. Evelyn says that Helena Troy hasn't been confirmed to be in the movie. She's not needed for the Fall of Troy, and a cameo is not worthy of an Oscar winner.
I thought for sure she was listed as Helen.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I haven't seen the movie, obviously, so I mean, but I'm pretty sure she's been. I mean, maybe I'm incorrect about that, but I was pretty sure she was already being announced as Helen. But we'll find out. All right, what's next?
All right, DJ says, because I saw Eternity Blind, it made much more enjoyable. Have you ever seen a movie blind? Oh, have you watched the movie and glad you didn't see the trailer knowing to know the premise?
No, going in blind is never does anything for me.
I used to be a stickler for that years ago, and then, as a teenager or whatever, and I realized it doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah, I've actually found that when I find out a lot of things about a movie, I get listen, the 2 movies I am ludicrously excited for this year, Project Hail Mary and Doomsday. And I know everything that happens in both of them. And that's part of the reason why they are my most anticipated movie of the year. Now, I'm not saying other people are like that. I'm not saying other people should be like that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying for me, going in blind into a movie or knowing everything about a movie does not move the needle for me whatsoever. It doesn't do anything for me at all.
All right, we got 2 more. This is a 2-parter, though. DJ Production says, as a cast member, I'm thrilled that Josh D'Amaro has been selected as the new CEO. He is special because he's one of us. He's homegrown. He came from the parks, and with Dana Walden as president and chief creative officer, this is giving me a Eisner and Wells vibes. My favorite Disney era. What would you like to see them achieve for the Walt Disney Company?
Well, first of all, you're not the only one. I actually talked to another friend of mine who's a cast member at Disneyland, and loved the pick. That doesn't mean all of them do, but she did. So there's that. What do I want to see them accomplish? I just want to see them look, I really could care less. Like, no offense to you or my friend who works at Disneyland. I don't care about Disneyland. I don't care about the parks. I don't care about their cruises. As a matter of fact, that's too kind. I hate their parks and I hate their cruises. They just gouge people as much as they can, as fast as they can. And I got no love for them in my heart. Just being transparent, just being honest. So what I would love to see them do, though, when it comes in the terms of entertainment and the movies and stuff like that, just keep a steady ship. Just let your creative sing. That was there were many things wrong that Bob Chapek did. But the big one was he took power away from the creatives. That was the moment that who had been all for Bob Chapek being selected, that's the moment that I went, oh, wait a minute. What are you doing? When Bob Chapek started to strip authority away from the various studio heads and strip authority away from the creatives and started to put that authority into bankers' hands. All I want to see these 2 do is to continue on with fostering and supporting the creative people they have. Just keep doing that and everything should take care of itself. At least that's what I hope. And all right, guys.
Oh, sorry, there was
I
one more.
thought you said those just the last 2.
Yeah, because a 2-parter and then a single. Sorry.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
go
that was
ahead.
confusing on my part. Mighty Tank said, had a chance to catch up on Wonder Man and have to say, I loved it overall, but I hated episode 4 with Doorman. Did nothing to move the story forward. Every episode should do that when there's only 8. I disagree. I think
also disagree. Now, I will agree in the sense that the general narrative of Wonder Man, that the Doorman episode didn't move that forward. However, what that episode did was give you the background in which this story is taking place. Why is the industry so against anybody with superpowers doing this? Why is the Department of Damage Control keeping a particular eye on this? Why is something like this threatening Simon's career? And more importantly, it kind of acts as a bit of a Sokovia Accords to give us a background and wider context for other things happening in the MCU. And so while it did not further Simon's story, what it did was give us context so that when the story did move forward, we had a baseline understanding of why these other things are happening. So it's all subjective, but I'm just saying for me, and I think Jonathan as well, I'm going to say I disagree with you on that. I thought it was a very functional episode in the series, and I thought a quite enjoyable episode. John, what did you think about it?
No, I thought it was, I went to the 3-shot. I thought it was actually very important because it showed why he was so afraid of the doorman claws. And I thought it just brought a lot of heart to the story. It was also a little foreshadowing. A guy gets superpowers, he gets involved, even he was a little like, trying to shy away from it, got a touch of fame, got success, didn't know how to handle it, blew it. All of these things are hanging over Wonder Man's head. All these insecurities. I just thought like it that went into the inner psyche of Wonder Man and what he was going through.
But I also thought it was really good commentary on today's influencer and social media for hamster wheel.
Yeah.
I thought it was
also,
a really good commentary on all that.
And how people can come to love you, but then turn on you like
and
that.
then hate you a minute later.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a very insightful, very well done episode. Again, it's subjective. If it didn't work for you, it didn't work for you. Nothing wrong with that. Your opinion is no less valid than mine. I'm just saying my experience with it was a little bit different. That's all. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow. We'll look forward to seeing you then. So for Robert Meyer Burnett, our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
My name is John Campea, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. That'll wrap up another installment of the John Campea Show. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.